How do I do that? This is the session for you. So Chief Conversologist of Conversology, Jam Mayer, is deeply passionate about social media marketing, keeping ahead of the trends and mastering the industry's latest technologies and tools. From her beginnings as a call center director, actor, radio host, and professional blogger, through her journey into social media to education and public speaking, Jam's charm, upbeat style, and depth of knowledge have earned her much respect in the industry. In 2017, Jam was picked by social media marketing icon Hootsuite to be their New Zealand ambassador and only digital services partner. She brings knowledge of conversational marketing and customer nurture from her call center experience, applying principles of solution, providing effective communication across technologies and channels. Her motivation and passion for the industry comes from a belief that genuine and sincere human interaction is always at the heart of business, and that conversation is the key to success. Today, she'll be sharing how to use social chatbots to streamline and sell, so please join me in welcoming Jam Mayer.
Thanks, Andrew. I was asking where the clicker is. I should have an orientation on how to actually use this thing. Probably it's clicking on play. Cool. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today in this session. I just want to set some expectations, though, that I'm not actually not going to talk about how to use chatbot in order to spam people, because I know there's a lot of negative feedback on chatbots wherein it's used for marketing. And the buzzword right now is conversational marketing, which obviously was originated, I think, by Drift, if I'm not mistaken, and there is a book that's out there. So, because a lot of people were asking me during the last day or so, a few hours, are you going to talk about, how to use ManyChat and ChatFuel and stuff? What I'll be talking about is more about the space, what we expect when you want to actually deploy a chatbot and what's to come. Cool. So I'm sure you guys have, whoever's in here, just show of hands. Jeff and Donna was talking about it before we ended the conference yesterday about chatbots. And it's interesting because when, I think Donna, you were the one who asked earlier, raise your hands who has heard of a chatbot, who knows what a chatbot is. And there's just a lot. Is one, there you go. Not a lot of the people in the room actually raised their hands. Now what's interesting is that all of you, at least those who scan the code, have already started interacting or try to interact with Genda, right? And that is an example of a chatbot. So there's no excuse anymore after this. I mean, I'm sure you know what a chatbot's like. Genda, however, is a very simple, level 1, I would say, type of chatbot, okay? Right, so I know I only have an hour, and the tendency is I tend to ramble, so please stop me. I'm sure there's some kind of timer somewhere. But these are the things that I'm going to be talking about today. What the chatbot market space is like beyond marketing, what to expect if you really are serious or at least planning or thinking about getting a chatbot for your business. What about personality, right? It's a machine. Do we actually have to have some personality in there? And then a little bit technical, and stop me anytime, of course, and ask questions if I get too technical, because I tend to do so. Conversation design, and it's exciting because there's a new role that's coming out worldwide right now that maybe some of you in this room or those who will be watching the video after, on what that role is all about, and of course, fine-tuning your chatbot. Cool. So what's the chatbot space look like? This is the latest disclaimer. I'm a Hootsuite ambassador, so this is a report from Hootsuite. If you look at the world, the top social messengers from around the world, and if you see New Zealand, it's all blue. So a lot of people are really using Facebook Messenger. The worldwide WhatsApp actually is number 1. But who owns WhatsApp? Pretty much the same. So this just gives you some kind of context on how many people, and it's growing. Correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe I might ask my team to help me out here, but I know there was an increase of about 21% from last year's report in terms of active Messenger users, okay? This is from Facebook. Very recently, I think a year ago if I'm not mistaken, but they had a survey and just wanted to see the reasons why businesses would actually use messengers, right? Facebook Messenger. 83% said, learn about a product or service. So these are the frequently asked questions. I want to know more, exploratory, etc. Get support is where customer service comes in. When they're your customer already, how do you then talk to them, or how do you talk to the business? And of course, last one is make a purchase. Kat Howell just mentioned about e-commerce, and that's growing and growing. And I'll tell you a little bit more. He was a speaker last year, actually, last year, which we built a very simple e-commerce chatbot for him. Now, this is very new, January. It was interesting, and there's a lot of talk around the industry that Zuckerberg planning. We'll see if it does push through, but by 2020, he wants to actually integrate messaging of WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook Messenger. So I was just talking to one of the attendees yesterday, and it's interesting. Again, she said, oh, you know, it's so hard to just go to Instagram, and I've got some people there and I'm talking to, and this is business, and all of a sudden I have to go to Facebook Messenger, and so on and so forth. So they're considered as, you know, silo social networks. But what Zuckerberg is seeing is like, well, you know what? We're going to invest a little bit more in messaging because that's where people are going. They're not going to comment on your Facebook post anymore. They're actually going to go straight to your business and then ask questions. Because we love talking to people, right? Okay. Oh yeah, I remember one time, that time when it was an online behavior. It was interesting. Sorry, I had to tell this story. But one of our clients is a skin health clinic here in Remuera and in Howick. We had a blog post and a Facebook post, and you'd expect her to actually ask the question about the blog, but she actually went straight to Messenger and asked. So that was really, really interesting. So that's just proof that people are starting to go dark, so to speak. Okay, now, everyone knows, you guys watching as well, that what you hear, and if you Google chatbots, you're going to see the platforms that are free there, and it's mostly marketing. Marketing. But I just wanted to show you that what's happening right now is that it's content-based. This is just a short trailer of the latest book from James Patterson. He's a well-known author that is leveraging chatbots or telling his story or his novel through Facebook Messenger, which is entitled The Chef. Hope this works. I don't know if there's no sound. It's okay, it doesn't really matter. But what happens, I'll let you just go through this, I'll talk through it. But this is a trailer of his book. It's the first time ever, as far as I know, being done. Once you, and I'm subscribed by the way, if you're an author, or you plan to put up, or you have a book, this is great because now it's more interactive. See, you've got media and video there. If there's sound, you'll actually hear it. So it's not just text, not reading book, but the text like a book. You can actually see the video itself. They put it in, and you've got the emojis in there. You've got the carousels. This is great. Honestly, I love those choose your adventure type of books as well. And if you can use and leverage Facebook Messenger or chatbots to tell your story or your novel, then that's what's happening in the industry right now, okay? That was launched last year, October 30th, which happens to be my birthday. This is Quartz. I am subscribed to this. I've been using this for probably 2 years already. And I don't go to Facebook for news. Yes, I still do. But at least with the world news, it is a simple app. And it's great because it actually talks to me, well, converses with me and tells me about the news and the latest news. And again, media, there's the text, tells you what it is. It's very succinct. And those arrows over there is just an option for the user. If you really are interested in the news or the article, then you can tap on it, and it goes to the full article. It's great because they built in a little bit of humor in it as well, and that's my favorite app at the moment. It's called Quartz Brief, but there's a full-blown app which is called Quartz. So they've used this as well when it comes to content, right? And you've got all the emojis, etc. So news doesn't have to be boring, okay? Cool. In between this, of course, you know Siri, right? Have you used Siri? Yeah, awesome. Alexa, the voice bots. But after that, there's the digital humans. Anyone here who is an ASB customer? Awesome. Have you seen Josie or have you used Josie? Not yet, but have you heard of Josie? Yeah. Digital humans basically are just a combination of not just text like gender, but it's also voice, but it's also looking at your emotions. So usually they're on a kiosk, right? So ASB Josie is one of the first that FaceMe has launched. And what happens now, and this is Kiri from Vodafone, they launched just last year as well. So a lot more companies, the big guys, more in banking, are then using AI or chatbots, digital humans, in order to interact with customers. What's amazing is that it is programmed to look at your face and see your expression, etc. And that's where the conversation design comes in, which I will explain a little bit later, which is a little bit technical, but not really. So this is the chatbot space. Just want to make sure that you guys understand on what's happening and what's out there. There's one more that I want to show you if you're into statistics. This is the recent report from the Global Market Insights, and this is a prediction up to 2024. What it's saying is that if you go through the left side, the first column, this is the application. The top 4 applications for chatbots, whether it be text or voice or digital humans, number 1 will be customer service, which kind of makes sense. Second is social media. We're in a social media conference. Payment, and that's where e-commerce comes in, and of course, marketing. What's happening now is marketing is on top. Obviously, makes kind of sense, right? But what's going to happen towards 2024, that's going to change, right? Next is the type. You've got rule-based, that's gender. You follow a direction, you tap on buttons. There's a little bit of AI in there. If you put agenda, then there's some blocks or messages that will try to talk to you, or if you want Wi-Fi and drinks and so on. But obviously, AI-based is still going to be there. Okay, Jam, hang on. Well, why is rule-based still on top? Because honestly, it's the easiest, especially when small to medium-sized businesses, and people still love to chat anyway. When it's AI, there's a lot of resources that's needed in order to create a chatbot that's AI-based. Deployment, it's just on-premise for enterprises, and of course, cloud, which we're very used to. And I'll just, the last column is just really the industries that's going to use it. Countries, if you look at Asia Pacific, we do have Australia and New Zealand there. So don't wait until 2024 to use chatbots. Start thinking about it and planning about it. Yes, JP?
Off the back of your session last year,
yeah.
I deployed one in the business.
Yeah.
And it saves 7 to 8 emails for every inquiry.
Sorry, you said you saved 7 to 8?
Saves me 7 to 8 emails per inquiry.
Saves 7 to 8 emails per inquiry. Is that good or bad?
Brilliant.
It was brilliant. Perfect. JP, so I also talked about chatbots, a very basic session last year as well. This is more of an update, so that's great. And Penny as well has posted down on our group, and we have got a blog on our website as well. I don't remember, do you remember how many % profit and return she has done using the chatbot? We'll get back to that, but yeah. Anyway, okay. So expectations, guys, when you're ready to plan and deploy a chatbot, is it for me, is it not? Technology isn't perfect. Whether it's rule-based or AI or machine learning and intent, doesn't matter, it isn't perfect. Even AI. A lot of people are talking, there's a conference that's gonna be, I think, about AI and stuff. It's still not perfect. That's why it's called machine learning, because Gender, for example, needs to learn based on data, on the interactions of people going through Messenger, what words are being used, etc., so it knows exactly how to interact with you, okay? This is the reason why. This is, so the Auckland Airport has its own virtual assistant or chatbot called Ava, or Ava, so sure, yep. You will see this time and time again, that it will set an expectation, says, look, I'm in beta, I'm still learning, I'm not perfect, right? Because it isn't. We want to set your expectation, or the users or the human beings, that, hey, I'm a bot, but I'm not perfect. Human beings are still up in that chain, right? Unfortunately, users expect your bot to be perfect. What they expect is, once they hit, or I should say get started, or start talking to Genta, for example, during this conference, you know, their expectation or your expectation was to answer questions. What is the agenda? Where's the Wi-Fi, etc., and all those questions, right? And Genta has to make sure that she answers those questions. In other applications, of course, users expect to solve the bot to solve their problem. This is a customer service application. And believe it or not, I've had so many conversations thinking that, oh, okay, it's a bot. Well, why doesn't it talk like a person? Isn't it sort of like a person, or vice versa? Right? Another thing to expect is that it's not all technical. What's happening now, the shift is, you've got all these free tools, right? Or you've got people who are very technical and would know how to program the bot, but they always forget the front end. And this is, one proof is that, especially when they talk about NLP, NLG, this is natural language processing, by the way. Sorry it sounds like I'm a nerd here. Not neuro-linguistic, that's totally different. There's so many abbreviations out there about the technology, right? But what you have to remember is that, what is your bot saying? Is it really talking to a person? Because the bot is talking to a person. So it's not all tech. Don't get bogged down with all the technical stuff. Always focus on how people are interacting with your bot, because that's what's important, okay? That's why I say to people who ask me, it's like, well, hey, Jam, does your company actually build bots with digital humans and stuff? And I say no. What we build is basically conversations, or effective conversations, for great customer service. That's why we've got a technical partner who does all the technical stuff, right? Because that's what we want to focus on, because your chatbot can make or break that relationship with your customers or whoever's using your chatbot. And again, it's all about your digital employee representing your business. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. Are you still awake? Awesome. Okay. All right. Lastly, the expectation is it's an ongoing process. I've had a few clients last year, after this conference and stuff, et cetera, and some of them said, okay, build me a bot, we're done, and they're gone. And I say, okay, no, we need to fine-tune your bot. It's an ongoing process. No, I'm fine, I'm good. Okay. We wait, and we say, okay, sure, no problem. And a few months after, they go, Jam, actually, you're right, hang on, because there's something wrong with my bot. Some are complaining because it's not answering the right questions, or it's bogging down, or let's say it's not fulfilling the objective that I want the bot to do. That's why it's always an ongoing process. The expectation here is, just because you built a bot once doesn't mean that it can't be improved, because it should, right? I'll talk about analytics and data towards the end, and the reasons when you can actually try or start fine-tuning your bot. The reason we are going through an ongoing process, because as I said earlier, the bot is learning, and it is also based on user experience. Cool. Now, this is an interesting topic, because yeah, there's a lot of opinion, and I'd love to know your opinions as well. Is Jam, should I actually have a name or a personality for my chatbot? I mean, can't I just say Jam, for example, or the name of my business, or none at all, right? What do you think? Raise, just want to know, do you think we should have some kind of personality for our chatbots? Yes? I'm curious, why? Why'd you raise your hand?
Only because the people who seem to have installed it and invested in them so far have used personalities.
Okay, yep, cool. Did you guys hear? Yep, thank you. Lauren?
I'm going to take a little guess here, but I think it's because of your client expectations. So, or the customer or the client, those that are going to be coming into contact with the bot, and also because of the platform, the way it's delivered in a messaging platform makes you feel like you're talking to somebody. So if I'm the user, I would expect it to have some kind of personality because of the way it's presented to me and what I'm getting out of it.
Yep, perfect, thank you. And we have a blog post a little bit because, and we were discussing with the team, because a lot of people are saying it's kind of creepy to actually have a name or a personality of a chatbot because it's a freaking machine, for goodness sake. Why do we have to bring life to it, right? Okay. It's like, this is Terminator kind of thing and AI in the future. Or, and we were asking ourselves, well, is it really creepy or is it really just good business? Now, the reasons you have to give your chatbot a personality is because it is your digital employee. When you go to any, let's say you go to a donut shop, just the top of my head, right? And it's a big, let's say Krispy Kreme. There's that expectation, or let's say Starbucks, there's that expectation of the brand that wherein every time you order your coffee or your donut and stuff, and they write the name and there's that expectation, right? And you expect that every person that you interact with is the brand or representing the brand. Your chatbot is basically the same, right? So you should actually follow that. So your chatbot is and should be, again, your digital employee and probably the best front-facing employee in your business. Should it be boring, cool, or memorable? I think I did a video about this. This is interesting because when some clients go, sorry, I'm an accounting firm, or I'm a lawyer, or I'm an IT, so I don't want any humor at all because I want to be professional and stuff. Don't put any humor or personality at all. So it becomes dull and boring. See, the question is that actually the brand that you want to represent? I mean, if your brand is boring and dull, sure, okay, we'll go ahead. Does it have to be cool? Oh, let's put a lot of emoticons and stuff and all these media and bombard them with videos, etc. Or do you actually want the chatbot to be memorable? And that's what we want, and that's what we do with our clients, is that when we go through this process with them, it's all about when they interact with your chatbot, we want to make sure that they remember, let's say, Jenda, we remember Helen, or whoever it is, or Ava when they go through Auckland Airport, or Nancy with tenancy services, right? So the key goal here is when you create or start planning a chatbot personality, it's not about, hopefully we avoid the boring part. We just don't want to be cool because it's cool, but we want to be memorable. Another FAQ is, this was discussed during, not morning tea, but before, should it be your clone, right? I think I was talking to Pam earlier, and her view is, well, maybe Jenda should have been Juanita because everyone knows that Juanita is very, close to the brand of the social media conference. True. And Juanita and I had a conversation as well. But, she said, look, I'm my own brand, and I want Jenda to represent the social media conference. And the purpose of the chatbot anyway is to give some agenda, the details and a little bit about the conference. So that's what we went for. So do you want a clone of yourself if you're a personal brand? Sure, go ahead. I've got my own social chatbot. Sorry, the mic's over there. It's called Social Jam. But we've got Ollie for Conversology, so it's quite different. And of course, it's all about engagement and how and who does it communicate to. That encompasses the whole process of us dealing with clients, talking to them when we are brainstorming on what personality we have to create for the chatbot. Am I making sense? Cool, awesome. Helpful? I can't hear you. Yay, awesome, cool. So this is an example. This is Rebecca. This is an accounting firm. We did not build a bot. It is on their website. And the purpose of this bot is basically for lead generation, right? Just to capture the questions and just to give a little bit more of information about their accounting services. Now, this is Clockworks, by the way. So we decided on Rebecca. And you're wondering why I'm showing that picture. Because we looked at their personas. And we want to make sure that it looked friendly, accommodating, because when you go to an accounting firm, the first thing some people would think is like accounting, they're very serious because it's all about numbers, etc. And they said, look, you know what? Our accountants are very serious about the work we do for our clients, but we don't want to showcase that because most of the people who are, let's say, in their sales or marketing, they're very friendly, they're very approachable, and we're here to help and answer your questions. So ergo, we went for Rebecca. Was there a reason, Rue, that we chose Rebecca, or was it just to check?
She fits well with the persona of the users.
Cool, awesome. So yes, so that's based on personas. My team's over there supporting me, by the way, and helping me out. Cool. This is my river. Again, we didn't build the bot itself on the technical side. We focused on the customer experience and the scripting. We also changed the name. I don't remember what the name was, but it just didn't align to their personas as well and what their objective was. So what happened is we named it Aranui, which means Great Pathway. The reason we chose that is because My River is an app and a directory service. And it's a directory service of all the community services in the country. So you've got an app, and guess what? Where the chatbot actually is, it's on the app itself. It's not on the website, it's not on Messenger, it's on the app. So what happens is when you've got thousands or hundreds of thousands of things to list through, right? And you just scroll through and it's really, are you kidding me? I don't have the time. And since it's community services, I mean, it's from budgeting to loans and even up to help with mental health and suicide. So that was a challenge for us in the team. It's like, wait, hang on. How are we actually going to script this? Because it is very sensitive, right? What if you have someone interacting with a machine who does not feel, have no emotions whatsoever, and scripted in a way that it is quick, but not but still very helpful. And the objective is really, look, if it's really an emergency, gently move them, right? Showing the pathway and giving them the right organization to call. So it was challenging, but it was interesting actually when we were doing that. So the personality came in, Ako.ai, who's our technical partner, said, Jam, technicalities and stuff functional, it's great, but we're not experts in the user experience. It's very sensitive. Please, we need your help to make sure that we don't offend a lot of people, because one mistake of that bot, can you just imagine, right? Especially if it's someone who really, really needs help. Okay. So, and just quickly, because I know I've got don't know if I've got about 30 minutes still, okay? This is, can someone help me pronounce the name, because I don't want to make a mistake? Afina? Is it Afina? Okay, right. So this is a sample of a kiosk. This is found at the Otago Polytechnic Auckland International Campus, just as Queen Street. Yeah. And sorry, I know that just took a screenshot and everything, but this is a different personality, which we intend to change, by the way. Her job is to guide the students within the campus. This is not for people outside, but their problem or their pain point was that there was a long queue always in reception because new students, new international students are asking the same questions over and over again. Which classroom is it? Which level? How do I mean, what's my agenda or what's the syllabus, etc.? Who are my teachers, etc.? So there's this long, long line. So they needed to create one that solved that problem. This is an ongoing process for us, by the way. So what we intend to do, and the team and I are excited about, is now how do we then improve the user experience for the learners? Because what we found, and I was talking to the CEO just a few weeks ago, their pain point now is the kiosk are there, but their students aren't even using it. So we're now moving it to mobile because the kids love using their phones, right? Yes? Not yet. Not yet, but it is something that we're, thinking of, So that's going to take a longer time, definitely, Now we move on to conversation design. Okay, you know what the space is like, what the expectations are, and why you should have a chatbot personality. Now here's the process. There's a process, Jam, seriously. Can't I just build something and it's all done? Is it just all scripting? No. There is a process, and depending on the size of your business, of course, and what flow or the objective is for your bot, but you need to go through the design or the process. Now, this is exciting. There is a new role, and now it's coming up. I'm part of a private group, and we call ourselves conversation designers, mostly from the US. What's happening now is that the big guys, enterprises, Google, and they're opening up a role called conversation designers or conversation specialists, because now they're trying to realize, and they've realized, not trying, but they've realized, oh crap, hang on, it's not just about the technology, but it is a combination of understanding the technology, whether it's rule-based or AI, how it works. Second is the psychology of the human brain, believe it or not. How do people actually react? What type of, what feeling are they going to, feel, that's kind of redundant. And of course, conversational copywriting. So this is now, it's very, very hard to find someone who are actually good conversation designers because you have to understand all of that. So what's happening is that in the US, and now starting in the UK, in Europe, is that copywriters, right, are coming in now. Radio copywriters, film, authors and stuff are now coming in to help script it. You've got the people in the technology side programming it, and then the psychologists, not really psychologists, but those who understand behavior, online behavior to be exact. You come in as a team, and now you've got one conversation designer trying to get all that information and making that bot work. What is their main and only reason they're there? They want to make sure that there's a great user and customer experience for that bot. So this is really, really exciting. So I don't know, I'm just really excited. I know I don't sound it, but yeah. Okay, so when and why build one? Okay, this is just one question you have to answer. What do you want to solve in your business that a chatbot can help you with? And a lot of our clients, probably 99%, would always think, you know what? I need my time back. Especially if you're a small business and you can't handle 100 people asking the same questions over and over again. Jam, I've got a recruitment firm, and even though I put all the requirements on my Facebook post or my blog or whatever it is on my website, they still ask how to apply, right? And it's annoying the hell out of the person. Okay. You have seen this over and over again in a way. You've seen it with Kat. You've seen it with, I forget which speaker, but you already know what a customer journey is like. This is just a little bit different because this is specifically for social. The engagement part actually comes in after acquisition, which is happening right now. So the reason I'm showing this to you is because when you go through the customer journey or when you start out and plan your chatbot, think about it. Do I want the chatbot to come in during the awareness stage while they're evaluating, which is most likely when they're looking for more information about the product? Is it for them to actually buy from you and the chatbot would help you? Or is it really engagement? That's where content comes in as well. Or is it for your VIP customers and make them feel happy and special and exclusive and everything else? I can talk about this for hours, but I think this is the simplest way of actually knowing when you should build your chatbot, right? I'm going to skip this, but this is where Kat was saying about affinity and so on. I know Donna is very familiar with this because this is a ManyChat thing. For those who don't know, and the reason I'm showing this is because in terms of marketing, there is, with these little features in ManyChat as an example, is just based, I wish I could go back to, I think I can go back, yeah I can, is based on the customer journey, right? So just go here. Facebook ads, obviously, marketing. Comments, could be engagement. Customer chat, customer service, loyalty, and so on and so forth. So these are the things or features that you can use as a start, and this is a ManyChat thing. You can also create your funnels or your nurture programs onto your chatbot as well. You can have all these funnels and nurtures during your customer journey, move them from awareness onwards to advocacy. So you can use that. Everyone still okay? Cool. Awesome. 2 examples, and this is what I was saying. Career Matters is more on the evaluation stage and a little bit of awareness. Career Matters is Tracy Beard, who was one of the attendees from last year's conference. She's based in Christchurch. We had to build a very simple chatbot, and she said, Jam, I am a consultant and I help parents and students find the right career for them, right? And I've got some questions. And we had to go through her process, right? And put it into a chatbot because she wanted to just talk to the qualified lead, so to speak, and that's where she can then spend time and sit down with them face to face. So we built that chatbot for her. And in terms of the customer journey at the end, and not end, sorry, in the middle, which is acquisition, do you guys remember Chocolate Johnny? Yep, Rebecca says yes. Chocolate Johnny has his own chocolate shop in Sydney, and we built a little bit more complex e-commerce type of bot for him. He said, look, I've got a lot of chocolates. Can we put that in? I said, we can, but it's going to be complicated. Okay, can we at least, I want to sell my chocolates around the world because people are talking to me in Messenger and they're asking me how much. So we built that, the e-commerce bot to focus on 5 types of chocolates. He has his monthly limited offer, and he has the 4, which are the top-selling chocolates that a lot of people are ordering anyway. And from there, we had to build in, obviously, how to pay, choose where they're at, and it's going to ship. And it's all the orders are just going to go to Chocolate Johnny, and that's pretty much it. It was great because now people were talking to the chatbot and just ordering the limited chocolate, whatever that is, or at least, I think it was white chocolate, I don't remember, their favorite chocolates and stuff. And we put a little bit of emoticons, and it was fun. And that was the feedback that we got. Cool. Here are some conversation design tools if you're really interested in chatbot, or if you're the type of person who wants to go in depth. This is called BotMock. What it does is before you even do any programming, you have to plan it out. So this just goes, okay, here's the button, what happens, what are the buttons, where is it going to go, what is the user going to reply, what do you anticipate, and of course, your script. What's great about this is the team has used this in some of our clients, and before us programming for sign off, what we do is we export either the flow and for them to sign it off, or we export it into video so that they can actually see how it looks like before it's built. So you save a lot of time, right? Another tool is Bot Society. This is, I think there is, yeah. So this is how it looks like. It's a mock-up of your bot. Again, it is not programmed immediately. So you're just putting in the script and say the bot says this, what happens, and the user says. You then experiment, right, on what, again, anticipate what the user is going to say so you can plan it out to, instead of building it out and then tweaking it. So have we used, yeah, we've used this in some of our clients, right? So what we do is we just go through the script, it goes through that. What they'll see is, again, an export of what's in the middle. And they'll say, yep, we like how it's, you know, the experience, how many seconds the bots are typing, et cetera. We like the images, et cetera. And we haven't even built a thing, which is great. Okay? And lastly, if you're into AI, stop that now. This is flow.ai. This is where it's integrated into now the tools itself. So you can export the whole thing and it's going to be built automatically. I'm not going to go through this anymore, but I was thinking that maybe if you really want to learn conversation design, then these are the tools that you should be using. Okay? Questions so far? None? Okay. I'm just looking at time. Conversation writing, again, is part of that, not the pyramid, those circles earlier that I showed. But these are the things, and this is Jenda, right? You know who Jenda is. And these are the things that we consider when we start writing the script for the bot. Obviously, the message blocks on how many, and in terms of levels as well, because as you go through the conversation, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. We consider the tone, the language, the humor. It goes back to the branding of the business, right? Bot typing, this is interesting, because people ask me, okay, how many seconds should I actually put the bot typing? Is it 1 second? Is it 5 seconds? Is it 3? What we do, or most people would put it at 2 or 3 seconds, thinking that it's based on how things flow, but you should actually base it or time it. These guys actually time it, wherein it's based on how many seconds will it take for the user to actually read that message that you just sent out. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay? So it's also where we identify the media. Is it image? Is it here? Do we put agenda? Which this is, by the way, Juanita's Animoji. She just sent this to us. Some people think it's me. It's actually not. It's short hair. Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe because it's brown hair. I don't know. But yeah, so you identify whether you want to put a video in there or not. And that's part of conversation writing, because it may be text most of the time, but if you're going to load a video, you also have to identify and see what the environment's going to be like for the users. There's a reason why we didn't even do video for Jenda in the conference, because we were told that you might be using mobile data, and we don't want to use up your mobile data, or things can change in terms of the Wi-Fi in Sky City. So we didn't want to take that risk. So we just stuck to some images, and I'm sure you've seen that, and just into text. Do you use emoticons or not? That's part of conversation writing, and of course the intent and the AI into it. This is Nancy. Interesting that we're seeing when people are choosing the names for their chatbots, it's really closely like Conversology's Ollie, Nancy, which is Tenancy Services, and Ava for Auckland Airport. I mentioned that earlier. We looked and tested Nancy, by the way, in terms of conversation writing. And what we found is, yes, it is learning, but things that we have to consider when we're writing the script is similar to this. If you noticed, we typed in damage, and I think I see this a little bit clearer here. It didn't really answer our question because we were really referring to a tenant damaging the property. So it answered based on the landlords. So when we're doing the script, we have to anticipate those as well, right? And the keywords, exactly, when you say damage, what we were saying is, wait, hang on, instead of assuming that it's about the landlords providing and maintaining the rental properties, it's actually more generic. We have to then ask more questions to say, wait, hang on, what type of damage are you referring to? Then I'll give you the right answer. So that's part of our process when we're writing stuff for the chatbot. So we then say, well, tenant has damaged property, and then it basically answers a little bit more or aligned to the question itself. Am I making sense so far? Yes? Okay, Rebecca's still like, okay, cool, awesome. Now, this is my Bitmoji. I love that Bitmoji. It's called what? When you do your scripting for a chatbot, there will always be a default answer. What that means that if your bot doesn't even understand exactly what you're trying to say because you are using different types of words and it doesn't understand, it hasn't been programmed yet or it hasn't learned it yet, right? Then there should be a fallback. Sorry, I don't understand your question. Can you please blah? Or I'm not really high tech yet, so I'll now lead you or go to a human being to ask your question. The reason I say it's dreaded because it's very tricky. We've had so many times we're in with clients, this is what has been signed off and it doesn't work all the time. I'll set that expectation. It will always be, okay, I don't get it. Why is it answering me this? And sometimes it does it over and over again and that gets annoying. So we haven't perfected that yet, but something that you have to obviously make sure that you consider. And when to hand it over to a human being, which is the live chat. Cool. Lastly, build and test. Kat mentioned this earlier on Facebook ads. It's the same thing for chatbots. We build, we test, and we improve and tweak. Whether it's putting in integrations into your CRM, email, MailChimp, whatever it is. The platform, are you going from scratch? Are you actually going to test it with group of advocates, with your customers or grandparents or family or friends and see how it's doing before you even deploy it? Or if you're brave enough, you can just go and deploy it to the public and see how it goes. And that's what we did for the social media conference. We were expecting things weren't going to be perfect, and that's okay, because now we're learning more about how people are interacting with Genda in terms of the words they're using, the questions that they're asking, etc., because that means we can build the next chatbot for conferences that's even better, right? Okay. Lastly, fine-tuning your bot, which means the ongoing process. So when should you tweak? I'm going to ask a question now because people just want checking because I've got 10 minutes left. When do you think should we tweak or fine-tune the bot? Once we've built one, when do you think we should try to tweak it or change it a little bit? If you're not getting responses, yes?
People are getting lost.
When people are getting lost? Exactly. Yeah, thank you. One more? Yep, when they stop using it, yes. So these are more the user experience. So I would say two ways or two things or when you should actually tweak your bot. One is based on data. And what you've mentioned here, the audience, is based on the data, what the users are doing. They stopped using it, right? The flow. When you look at analytics and stuff, you'll know where they're going. Which button are they tapping? Did they stop? Did they skip something? Did they go through the menu, etc.? Then you need to tweak it. The behavior, same thing. And there's just so much metrics around chatbots. And that's what I've been doing the last day or two, is when I'm on my phone, I'm basically checking the common phrases and what. And the team has, not really overnight, but Even during the conference, we are tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, making it better for everyone as much as we can, right? The second is change in business or process or your objective. Say you've built a bot, say Ollie in our case. Ollie is supposed to be the friendly chatbot that tells everyone what Conversology is all about, what our services are, et cetera, et cetera. But we've got different processes within the company, obviously. Well, hang on. Maybe we should build another, like a brother or sister of Ollie, or maybe a parent of Ollie, that will handle customer service, so for our clients, and so on and so forth. So that's when you start tweaking the bot. Should you create a new one? Not necessarily, but now it's based on the objective. Does it make sense? But the first one is really the top reason why you should tweak it. Before I go, just to wrap up, here are some of the analytic tools if you're really interested in learning how your chatbot's doing, which is ChatFuel has its own analytics section. Unfortunately, ManyChat doesn't. FlowXO, I think, has as well, and so on. But if you want to get serious, you can integrate bot analytics and Dashbot.io, which can work for voice, not digital humans, for voice, for text-based or rule-based types of chatbots, even those that are deployed into apps or on your website, not necessarily Messenger. Okay? These are the metrics that you should look at. Firstly, demographics, who's using your bot. The number of sessions it's similar to Google Analytics, if you guys are familiar with that. It's like a little website. The user growth, how many is active through lifetime, how many is still interacting with your bot. The number of times, this is critical by the way, number of times that they get the default answer, right? The fallback. The common phrases wherein what do they type in that the bot doesn't understand? So that means that's a trigger for us, as an example in the team, that we should add Wi-Fi. We should add about parking. People are asking about it. So we have to put that in. If they're getting a lot of, most of your users in your list, for example, in your database, and using your chatbot, are triggering the default answer, and there's a lot, that's scary, because that means you probably need to really reframe or rescript stuff into your chatbot, right? And lastly is the entry point and the exit point, the path. Where do they actually enter? I've shown you earlier one path that you can start chatting with Jenda was through the messenger codes. If you've noticed, we've added another one in the menu, which says Day 2 Agenda, and you can subscribe. So that's another entry point, which is the button. Or it could also be through comments on Facebook. When someone comments on something, that's an entry point. So then we'll know which actually works. And what we're finding out is, yes, a lot of people have, obviously because you were told so, to scan the code. But now people are starting to use that button, which is, at the menu, which is the Day 2 Agenda or Day 1 Agenda. And people are subscribing and they're more comfortable with that. So now we know it's like, okay, we need to tweak it, right? And of course, the exit is when do they actually leave within the flow? Did they just stop or did they continue? Did they actually go through the whole thing, the whole funnel, up to the end? Probably not. So anyway, I'd love to meet your bot someday. Okay, I really love experimenting and stuff. The examples that I've shown in this presentation are not all built by us, right? But we always experiment. Please, if you've got a bot out there, send me the link. We'd love to actually see how it works for you. I'd really love to meet your bot, so thank you for listening. Do I have time for questions, or are we good? We got 5 minutes? There was a lot of information, I know, so yeah. Yes, Mary?
Just a question about if you wanted to know, like, from a legal standpoint, you're giving people information and you wanted to go back to the conversations they were having
with a specific person, do you actually get kept transcripts of this stuff that gets put out? So,
Sorry, what do you mean exactly? Can you give me an
Is there a record of conversation?
Is a record of the
Yes.
conversation, because if you have to have transcripts, and from a legal standpoint, you're obviously putting information out about your business.
Yeah.
And even over in Australia, which is where I'm from, there's a lot of compliance in interactions, and you have to keep records of everything.
Yeah.
Is there that ability?
Yep, there is. You have all the records there, and that's the reason why, and Facebook is very big on this, by the way, in terms of privacy policy. No one can just subscribe unless, if you notice in Genda, even though you scan the code, we still asked, or Genda asked you guys to subscribe to the updates, and you still have the option of not opting in, because you understand that those conversations are there. And it's similar to like GDPR in Europe and stuff. If you want all those conversations to be deleted, it can be. But it is all stored in there, yeah. Yeah. It depends on the business, Mary, as well, of course. Yeah. But, yep. Yes, JP.
Just on that, with our bot, with our bot, we've got that chat history. We've got the history of what has gone on.
Yes.
So we can see what that interaction is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't disappear unless we try and make it disappear, and I'm sure it can be retrieved somewhere, because nothing ever really goes away.
Yeah. Thank you. Cool. Hey, Leah.
Hi. In terms of the information that people are sharing with you, is there a general fear about security of what the information they're passing over to you? Have you seen any issues around that?
We haven't had any complaints, not at all. Nope. Not an issue. Yes? Can't see. Now I know why the speakers are doing this, because it's just a light.
That was a great presentation, thank you.
Thank you.
So chatbots can be inbound and outbound, if that's probably not the correct terminology, but can people ask you questions, but can you actually send stuff out to them and start a conversation with people?
Yes, definitely. Yep, it's both ways. But mostly I would say inbound, really, because there's that opt-in method, especially on Facebook, because we want to make sure that we ask your permission first as much as possible. The outbound example would be, sorry? Intercom, yes. Yeah, I love Intercom. We use it for other brand, by the way, and they've got bots as well in the sales process, and it just pops up. But one is the comments. For example, we use this for Wadida as well, is when someone comments on it, it's kind of outbound because you're kind of reaching out, and then it triggers the chatbot, and then you ask the questions. It's still inbound in a way. Probably 99% inbound and just a little bit on outbound side. So yeah. Hope that answers you.
I don't know if this can work, but what would be a chatbot that you would recommend that we look at? But then I don't know if we actually need to be engaging with the company to have relevant questions to ask. But just, so we've got the one for this conference, but just so we could kind of understand what the capabilities are, what would be a chatbot that you would recommend?
So there are two types of chatbots. One is you build from scratch, right? Which the programmers and the technical guys would do, and we can also do that, for example. But there are a lot of box solutions out there already. If you want for marketing, go for it. Someone came up to me and they wanted something for surveys because they were a research company, and there are others there. So it really is dependent on what your needs are. If you want something that's fast and you don't have to worry about scripting so much or the features, then you go for the box solution because it's already there. The problem there is, of course, you still need to do a little bit of the design because it's boxed. You can't, you know what I mean? You're just stuck in there. So you go for the scratch version.
I'm just working with someone that I'm trying to convince them they should get a chatbot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to be here.
Okay.
I think the question was more if she wants to show her client or whoever it is a good chatbot that they could use in her business. What bots could she point them at to say, hey, look, this is what you should be using for your business?
It depends on what objective. I think we need to talk offline. Yeah.
So, and it is, shall I come up? Because it's pretty much lunchtime.
Oh, yay. Cool. Is it? Oh, cool.
Righty-ho. So can we have a big round of applause for Jam? Thank you.